Hello there, I'm Danny Cervera, and this video is going to be a short assembly of clips of Team 5 explaining the different systems of crucibles of Kathor in Google Spreadsheets. So, I'm going to be starting off by explaining our pricing and economy systems. So, in Crucibles of Kaldor, you are going to, at the beginning of the game, pick which crucible you are going to reside in. And that's where you're going to do all your gameplay stuff, right? That's where you fight, that's where you craft, that's where you loot, that's where you go on quests. But you don't have access to the other crucibles. You know who does? Other players who you can trade with. So what we're really looking to do here is kind of set the value of any given object, right? Whether it be a base material resource or whether it be a weapon or armor piece. And we're setting these values relative to NPCs in the world who can buy and sell these items, and then creating a formula which is the simplest part of this process for players, figuring out like, okay, well, what might a player's price on the market be for this item, given what the NPC price and value is. So we're basically saying here, hey, the base price of any item is going to be kind of determined by its rarity, which is just gotten through like 100 divided by what the rarity value is. After that, if it's most item types, we're going to multiply it by whatever kind of bonus we get from adding up the can drop variable and the purchasable variable. So this just means that if it can't be dropped, which means it has to be crafted in order to be made, it'll be more valuable. And then if it cannot be purchased from NPCs, it'll be a more valuable object as well. Here we have our NPC price and our value to NPCs, which is how much NPCs sell and buy any given object for, respectively. And we're using that kind of as our range to determine, oh, well, what might the current player market value be, right? Because players don't want to sell something for a lower price than you might be able to get from an NPC. That's not going to be good for them. They probably also want to sell it for lower than what an NPC will buy it for. Otherwise, it becomes just a way to purchase more money. And you might as well sell it to an NPC if you're doing that.
So here's an explanation of the world events. Basically, these events are kind of meant to make the gameplay not so repetitive and to shake it up a bit and drive the player in a different play style or even just a different direction and encourage them to take a different route. And they kind of just happen randomly throughout the game, and there's no set way or time of it happening. And it's not a fully fledged mechanic yet, but here is just some of the stuff that we planned out. As you can see, there's a high level change, which is kind of like the game explanation of what's happening, and then the low level is what's actually happened. So at the top, for example, we have items from the Earth Crucible are higher priority, and that means that varied items from the Earth Crucible increase in their sell value. And so we just have a few of these examples down here, and that is basically how the world events work.
Hey, how's it going? It's Sid Greenwood, and I'm really quick running through the crafting portion and refreshing on what the crafting was for the Crucibles of Kathor, and then I'll show you in the sheets real quick. Essentially, it's kind of like a crafting table mentality here, where you're taking three materials that are also factoring in basically their properties from things you've seen in previous slides, like their values and their rarities and the crucible they're from. And it takes all of those things and it puts them together, and then it kind of, the generator at least simulates values, names, and rarity kind of like stat values that you'd get upon crafting. So let's go ahead and check it out real quick. Essentially right here, what you're looking at that matters is this right here. So we start with some random values just to plug in here, and we then take those and do some calculations. So first we go ahead and we say, okay, let's say that what they put in is a earth item in slot 1, a water in slot 2, and a water in slot 3. And then we go from there and we say, okay, we take that random value to see kind of what level of rarity, 1 being lower and 3 being higher. And then we pick that rarity. So earth 3, let's find the earth here, becomes solidified. And then of course it repeats the pattern. And then we again repeat that random value for the mod. And when we go ahead and generate now, we kind of get some really cool names, honestly, along with some good values. You'll see right here, if you look down at this value line, this is what, the player and yourself will be looking at while we go through here. Let's kind of see what numbers we can get. Oh, a 27. So there we go. That doesn't happen as often as you'd like, but that right there would be something that is a very high value item. And of course, along with the value, you try and have cooler names, cooler effects, better stats combat-wise and sell value-wise for those weapons generated.
Here is an explanation of the loot table. So at the top left, starting with the item name, we have the crucible that it's from, the item type that it is, the rarity of the item, what vendors will sell that item for, and what we think players will sell that item for. We also have a purpose category for any more specific item details that we might need to put in there. And then moving onwards, we have the rarity with the drop rate. And then you could see that 72 will give you a trivial rarity, and you could even change it. And 6 is rare since it is 5 and up. And then over here, you can kind of see we have the row with all the item information. So row 27 is Neptune Shell, Crucible Water, all that stuff. You can go down to 27, and it is Neptune Shell with the Crucible Water. And yeah, and this is dynamic too. You could change it. It's 23 now. Change to 24, and you could change it to 12. And yeah, just changes and it's dynamic.